Welcome to Empyrion Galactic Survival, and here we are guys, we're down on the starter planet. It's a nice bright day and hopefully it's going to stay bright for what I want to do in this part. I want to talk about the capital vessels, because if you're following the series, you'll be aware in the last part I actually fabricated a capital vessel as a blueprint, and the game has kindly informed me that it's now ready to be spawned. And as part of this process, I want to talk about setting a capital vessel up, and I'm going to touch on an area which I found incredibly frustrating when I built my first capital vessel a long time ago, and I want to go through it in some detail, and some of you guys may find it a little bit boring, especially if you're familiar with the game. But anyway, let's get down to it straight away. If I come in here, as you can see here guys, I've now got the camper van. It says I can spawn it, and I've deliberately chosen this area because it's reasonably flat. And over here I've got trees, obviously the ground drops off over there, and if you're going to spawn a capital vessel, be aware that they are really big, so you want to spawn it somewhere where it's going to drop down pretty flat. And whoops, nearly rolled over, and it's down. And I think we're going to start with giving you guys a little bit of a tour of the ship. I mean, it's a very useful starter capital vessel. It isn't a combat vessel. It's more of an exploration capital vessel really, but it has its purpose. As you can see here, it's got I think this is a rocket launcher on the front. We've got space on the side here. I mean, eventually I will be putting some side mounted cannons. We got a couple of sentry guns on the back here, which is mainly for local suppression fire. I mean, at the moment they can't fire because they've got no ammunition. And of course we've got this nice big ramp here which I'm walking up. And as you can see, this has got a really nice big hangar bay which should be able to take all three of my small vessels. We've got a repair station in the center here, which is probably the reason why I had to get the Estrum and Zarcosium. Now there's a couple of switches here which I want to show you. Now sometimes you've got to toggle them backwards and forwards. I think this one opens and closes the doors, and then this one actually retracts the rear ramp, but sometimes it gets a bit confused. But of course you can actually extend the ramp manually like that. So we've got a ramp at the back, and I think just so that I don't have to keep opening the doors, we're just going to put some, I think we can just do a fill, or 54%. That's probably taken all my power cells from my inventory. I think we can probably fill that up. I don't think I've got some promethium in my inventory as well, so that's okay. So I mean, I just filled this up. Now it does take a lot to power up one of these capital vessels, especially because I think I've got 2 fuel tanks in here. Actually, apologies guys, I think what I'm going to do is get it to auto group so that everything's nice. Yeah, that's better. So it looks like we've got 4 oxygen tanks. That's pretty good. Can't see fuel tanks there. You can see we've actually got 6 tier 2 fuel tanks. That's going to take a lot of power to actually fill up. And we got a couple of fridges, a food processor, and I think we got an advanced constructor. Yeah, there. And just to show you guys, we've got the ventilator above the door there. We come in here, you can see we've got the advanced constructor here. So this is quite a well laid out room, and more importantly, across here we've got space to add anything else we want to use, like additional cargo boxes and anything here. So there's plenty of space to develop a theme in here. And the other thing that's also buried in here as well is gravity generator. Gravity generator is very, very useful when you're out in space, so you don't float around in an arbitrary way. Then of course up here we've got our, what you could call our control deck. We've obviously got our flight area here, and we've got lots of extra storage in the form of closets and wardrobes along here. So this is quite a good ship. The other thing I'm also going to show you guys is that if I come in here, if I keep going up, we can actually go out the top of the ship. This is quite useful when you're actually out in space. So we've actually got a there, but so we've got a roof access. The only thing is the only in and out access at the moment is actually via the rear of the ship, but that's not a problem guys. We've also got a shower and a sink. So here reduces radiation. I mean, again, this is quite useful when you're out and about in space. You know, if you start to get a bit of radiation dosage, you can come in here and take a shower. We've got a toilet, which is good for indigestion, hangovers and bad trips. And obviously we got our fridges over here, which I will probably eventually upgrade to tier 2. And we got our food processor. And of course here we got this really nice growing area. And I want to plant this up almost straight away. And the main thing I want to get in here is corn sprouts. So what I want, because grain is the source of plastic, and one resource that you seem to get very short of is actually plastic. So what I want to do is effectively have one side of this area here laid out for grain. I think that's it. Well, yeah, because most other stuff you can accumulate over time. Vegetable, plant protein. Okay, so we only got one more grain there. And what else can we put in? We can put some pumpkins in for some vegetables. Vegetable protein. I mean, that's not quite so important. And of course, we've got another 9 tiles over here. So we've got fruit. I'd like the fruit for the medical situation. Plant protein and vegetables. Maybe we're putting a bit of plant protein as well, because that will give us the energy bars should we need them. I'm just going to drop this in. I mean, another way to look at this is, if you've got the space to grow things, to take advantage of it, guys. Right, so we've got enough for 3 more vegetables. Well, we could put that in there, that in there. And of course, where would we be without at least 1 tomato plant? So that's all now fitted up. And you see, this is a nice self-contained area, and that should now give me the resources, particularly the grain for plastic. Come in here, because of course the one thing you want to do is actually have a test flight. So the thrusters are off, and it's going to go to third person. Camera's a little bit, maybe we just move back a little bit. Now be aware that if you adjust back too far like that, it will work for the capital vessel, but you may have problems later on when you fly a small vessel. So you may find you're having to keep adjusting the camera. Okay, I've got a slight problem here. And this comes back to what I've said in previous videos when you're building ships and blueprints, is to go into the creative mode and actually test them first. I think I know what's causing this. It's a little while since I've actually used this ship, so I've kind of forgotten what I need to do. Yeah, RCSs. If you come in here, so if your ship doesn't maneuver, it's often that the RCSs themselves are turned off. And I suppose this is a good way to demonstrate why you need RCSs in a vessel. So we've now got a flight capability. Yep, that's looking good. I mean, obviously capital vessels don't have the maneuverability of small vessels, so where you get the impression, and so we're just going to talk about this for a little while, guys, is because you build a capital vessel and you can put some heavy guns on it, don't think that this is going to be your solution to going in and attacking, say, a drone base, because what will let you down is the maneuverability. So if you look here, it's going to be very difficult unless you put lots and lots of lateral thrusters on. It's going to be very difficult to actually evade all that heavy fire coming in. And of course, with this ship here, it's got a very exposed front, so it wouldn't take long for a couple of heavy hits to blast through all that glass at the front. And of course, once your cockpit is destroyed, then your ship is effectively dead. So all the firepower and armor is absolutely no good. Is that landed, or am I actually in the air? Sometimes it can take a little while to actually work out. I think I've landed. Yeah, and this is the difference between having a capital vessel for exploration, which is this type of ship, and one that will be able to use in heavy combat, especially in multiplayer. So we're just going to turn the thrusters off to save a bit of power. I suppose we could probably turn the turrets on. Yeah, well, if I switch them off, I forget to switch them back on again. Yeah, so that's something to do, because say, like, for example, all this glass here, it wouldn't take many heavy hits to actually blast their way through this. So if you're going to build a ship for heavy combat, you want to probably move your command center and control center back into the ship and protect it heavily. and then because you'll be flying in third person, you're going to be okay. So that covers a general introduction to the ship. We know it flies. Now what I'm going to do, guys, now is talk about an area which really confused the heck out of me when I built my first capital vessel, and it's the docking of small vessels and hover vehicles in your capital vessel. And I'm going to start with this one, and I think we just come in here, and this is the way you want to approach it, guys, is you want to load one at a time, because if you put all three in, then the capital vessel tells you that it's unable to take off because it's got an undocked vessel in the hangar. But obviously once you've got the problem sorted out, then you can dump all three ships on it. Now if I show you this, I can't see if you can actually see this. Now I know this ship's actually got docking pads, is to see them there, and I think there's another one there. I think this has got two, it should have three there, that's the best view. But do you see that the ship is not actually touching the landing deck? And just to confirm that, guys, I'm just going to go up to the cockpit. And this is where the game messes me up by saying, yes, you can take off. I'm completely happy, because in theory I should not be able to take off. And let's keep switching the thrusters on and off. Right. And you can see here that there is a not docked ship in your ship. Flying is not possible. So what we're going to do is just switch the thrusters off again. And this is the problem thing that drove me absolutely nuts, because I was looking at this and I said, well, I've got docking pads, it's all working. And the reason for this is, guys, if I come in here and jump in, and we're just going to go up into the air a little bit, and I've dropped out the bottom of the ship. It's going to be a pain in the neck getting up to here. Oh no, we can get to the cockpit from underneath, thank goodness for that. Now the problem is that I've added these extra protection to the guns here, which means that in the view of the game, these extra protection here is lower or closest to the deck, and that's what's actually keeping this ship up in the air. Now what it's actually saying is these docking pads are not high enough for me to make contact with the ship. And this leads me on to the next subject. Now if I come into here and if I go to hover vehicles, you will come down here and you will find a docking pad. Now I'm going to unlock this because I'm going to need this for my hover vehicle. If you come to the small vessel and come down here, you won't find anything. It just says there's no docking pad. The reason is that the docking pad is actually hidden inside of the land rigger blocks, and that is the reason why if you come into a hover vehicle down here, the hover vehicle does not actually have land rigger or docking legs. It has a docking pad, but the small vessel actually has a land rigging block. And what I need to do now, and I've just suddenly realised I've made a mistake here, guys, apologies. I need to go over and to the large constructor, because that I'd obviously lost one of the landing pads off of that ship in the past. So what I'm going to need to do is just come into here, and again, just to emphasize, guys, what we need to do is actually make one of these, and the game should obligingly do it very, very quickly. Actually, what I will do is, if I can find the hover vehicle, and I want to make a couple of those that can make while I'm actually off talking about the ship. So we're just going to get back into the capital vessel, and I'm crossing my fingers here, guys, because this is pure theory. It should work. If it doesn't work, apologies. And what we're going to do is just retrieve this. I'm going to come in here, and what we're going to do is just take off this docking block. I'm going to leave that one on just for the moment, so that I've got a position, because I want to know where that is. So that is quite literally just alongside the thruster. So you're talking about putting this one in there. So now if I select this, if I right click, see where it says docking pad, and this is where the docking pad is. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use I think we'll just use this one. I'm going to drop that in there, and then what I'm going to do is take off the one off this side now, and pick up the 2 landing gear. Back to 5. Is that the correct position? Yeah, looks like it, doesn't it? Sometimes it can be. Actually, that's a right. Not that one. Yeah, I think that looks about right, doesn't it? Sometimes it can be a bit difficult to tell. And what we're going to do is just put another one up there. It looks like this ship's taking a little bit of damage on the front as well, so I'm just going to repair that. That damaged? Nope, you're okay. And if we now jump into the vessel and land it, and in theory, I'm going to be absolutely totally 100% confident with this, guys. I'm just going to jump out. Don't need the. You'll see the ship is now landed properly on the deck of the capital vessel, and in theory now, if I go up to here and go up to here just to prove to guys, and we jump into here and power the thrusters on, and you can see it actually lets us take off, which proves that it is happy. And that was a real pain in the neck the first time I did that. It took me about an hour of fiddling around just trying to work out why my ship wouldn't take off. And so that's the reason I want to go through that in some detail, guys. Now what we're going to do now is actually work on the hover vehicle. And I think to do that, I'm going to need to get some steel blocks out of here. Right, so just going to go here, cargo, supplies. I think we'll just take ordinary steel blocks. I'm probably in the long term, I will rebuild my hover vehicle, but I do want to take it with me when I go out, because the hover vehicle could be quite useful doing local exploration when on the cold planet, because that's where we're going to go to, guys. I think 2 landing blocks should be okay. And obviously we're just going to jump in here. And of course we're going to power on thrusters and power. And of course we're just going to, oops, didn't need to do that. Just going to get to maximum height. Like that. And if I go 6 here and go right click, you'll see now with the hover vehicle, you've got no other options than with this. You've got a default option. So it means that a hover vehicle intrinsically has to have a... Oh, great. Let me just get back up on top. Right, so I'm back up on top, guys. It's one of the annoying things. If for some reason you can't get back up on a vessel like this on your base, the one way to do it is just put down a couple of blocks and you can come here. Anyway, we're actually at what we're trying to do now, guys. Now if I show you underneath here, this hover vessel is not flat underneath. I mean, we've got some steel plates here, so what I want to do is just take these blocks out. I'm just going to retrieve these blocks here. Actually, I could probably just take those out. Actually, just take them all out like that. And what I'm going to do, guys, is what I want to do is just create a flat bed underneath like this. I mean, I suppose I could leave that area open a little bit. And I think that should work. I mean, I don't want anything too elaborate, because I mean, obviously, as I said, I'm probably going to take this apart. And then what you need to do is just drop a couple of these in. The reason I'm putting 2 in is that if you put 1 in the front, what can happen is the ship doesn't sit flat on the floor. And if you have that situation, sometimes the capital vessel is happy that it's not flat, sometimes it's not. So if you've got a hover vehicle that's quite a bit bulky like mine is, it pays to have 2 on it so that it should balance out properly. Famous last words. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to We're just going to take our hover vehicle in, and I don't think you actually need lights on. It's still going to have lights everywhere. Great. Sometimes hover vehicles can be, you need to adjust the height. Hover vehicles can be more difficult to get into a capital vessel than actually small vessels, to be honest, guys. So we're just going to get as close to this wall as possible. Drop down, and hopefully this will sit flat. We're just going to power off, and just go have a quick look, guys. Yep, it's sitting nice and flat, and hopefully if we go up here, the capital vessel will be happy. So I was just going to jump in, quick test. Thrusters on. Yep, and you can see no error message. It's happy. It's successfully docked. And just going to jump out again, guys. And I'll just do the last one for luck, partly just so that I'll do it now. In theory, the last one was built by Spange, and I haven't altered the underneath. So in theory, this last one should fit quite well. Famous last words. As far as I know, I didn't put any blocks. I've got a potential problem with the rocket launchers. But it still looks fairly as though it's sitting well on here. And I suppose in some ways it's worth noting, guys, that if you get the landing gear right for hover vehicles, you do get decent landings even on a base. So this is quite a good exercise to do anyway. And I'm just going to power on. I'm just going to come up here into third person, and I'm just going to ease in. Hopefully the looks like this, yeah, this should fit through the door. Wow, it's a bit of a tight fit. Tell me that it's going to fit through the door. Yeah, it's a little bit tighter fit than I was hoping for, and I might have a problem here with landing. Okay, we may have to shuffle these ships around a little bit. Yeah. Okay, let me just. And the wings are giving me a little bit of a problem. So let's just get into here. Yeah, so maybe if we move this ship forward a bit. And again, this is something you need to consider, guys, that it's actually trapped on that wing. Okay. Let me just have a look. Yeah, maybe having a wide-winged ship here could be a bit of a problem. We could possibly get this ship over a little bit. I'm not sure if it will actually do it. We may have to take out the other one. Okay. So what we're going to have to do is, I think if we actually take the ship up and just, now the problem's going to be is getting out. Maybe if I go right forward and land and jump out. I was sure there was enough space in this area here. Right. I think what we can do is if I get into this one, power up you, and if we move you backwards and put you right in this corner, power off. Yeah, you're now tucked right up in that corner. Yeah, I think that's going to work now, guys. And obviously this ship's a lot bigger and maybe a bit too big. So let's just move over this way a bit. I mean, I'm probably not going to use the hover vehicle that much. And if I can now jump into this one and just take off a little bit, and you can move right over here and down and power off. I'm just going to hope this is going to be worth it, guys. Yeah, and that should now give me, wow, got a bit of flare from lights off, thrusters off. Yeah, so we're probably getting distortion off of the lights inside of the vessel, the ship here. Also got lights on here, so maybe if we power you off as well. That's reduced some of the glare, but obviously because you've got the lights inside of here, and it's actually distorting the lights. Just make sure the power's off on this one. Yes. And as I say, hopefully this is going to be worth it. Now, one of the problems is going to be getting out of the hangar deck, because normally the best way to do it is to be able to turn around, but we may not be able to turn around. But I'll test that in a minute. Just want to see if we can do this. And I'm just going to come into here, jump onto here, power on the thrusters, and yep. So we've got a takeoff. So the capital vessel is happy with the docking pads of the things. Please stop the ship. Okay, thank you. Now the next thing I want to test, because obviously I'll probably want to use the main small vessel a little bit before we actually leave the planet. So what I'm going to do now is see if I can actually get this out of the hangar bay. And I say the best way is if you can actually turn the ship round, which sometimes you can once you've got a little bit of height. Yes. And again, guys, if you're new to the game and you built your first capital vessel, it pays to spend a little bit of time just doing this. See, so maybe we can actually dock this ship in like this, so you get a feel for maneuvering this before you actually get out into space or somewhere where you may need to do this a lot more quicker. And I think we're just going to fly out here and get into third person. I was obviously it's probably a bit confused. I think it's probably hooked on the, yeah, we were probably hooked on the hangar deck. And that's what I say, guys, you do really need to practice this a little bit. But I think we're just going to park here for the moment. And I'm just going to turn off the power. I mean, I could empty that warp drive, but I'm quite happy the way it is. And of course, it's all my messing around has made it quite dark. And the next thing I actually want to do, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to do that in here, is I actually need a couple of guns. So what we're going to do is put it on all objects. I don't know if I've unlocked sentry guns. Well, actually what we could probably do is capital vessels, sentry guns, rocket turrets, flak turrets. Okay, we may not have unlocked the weapons that I actually need for the capital vessel. Yeah, we need a couple of these cannon turrets, and we've got a rocket turret. I don't think we actually need rocket launchers. Yeah, I think that will be more than adequate. Actually, we could probably unlock the RCSs as well, just in case we need to do repairs. So you can see here I've got loads and loads of experience points. Brain shut down there, apologies guys. Right, so what we're going to do now, guys, is just get into here and see if we can find snort guns, rocket turrets, capital vessels, flak turrets. I thought we could build the necessary. Does that mean we've got to build it in an advanced constructor? Pick up this. maybe this time we'll just transfer some stuff over to the ship. Yeah, a lot of the capital ship weapons actually and items do need an advanced constructor. Yeah, so let's just get in here, advanced constructor. So what we should be able to do now, yeah, cannon turret, just make sure that's for the CV. You can see there we need 2 oscillators. Well, I only need 2, so we'll just give that a go, guys. And while that's actually building, let's just start sorting out our cargo boxes. And the other thing I do want to show you guys is if I can find the weapons, so turrets here now. This was a new feature that was introduced in the 8.1 update now, and before the 8.1 update you had to actually do all these settings on a per turret level. Now you can actually do this at this level, so you can actually tell it what you actually want it to kill. That blooming raptor's back. There he is. Wait, look up please. Smile. And we got our first meat and our first kill for the capital vessel. So, anyway, where was I, guys? I'm going to miss him once we go somewhere else. Right, what was I saying? Oh yeah, cargo boxes. Now you can see I've got 7 cargo boxes on this area here. We've got small, so I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4 small ones and 3 large ones. What you want to do is actually rename these. So if we call this weapons and ammo, actually what we could do, right, so we got that weapons and ammo. Let's get back here. What else we call it? Call this trade goods. Let's click that and back. We've got weapons and ammo. Don't know what how the B came from, but I'll get rid of that. I'm just going to go back. Oops. And I think the next one we'll call ship supplies. This is the, the things we should like to repair the ship and anything else like that. So we can certainly put these in there. See, what we'll do is probably call this one building supplies. This is where we're going to put all our large items that we may need and may not need. I'm going to call this plants, oxy, plants and survival. So we can put our plants in here, and of course we can put our surplus oxygen in here. I mean, I'm going to transfer most of this off camera, guys, so don't think I'm going to be actually doing this. And of course we've got our food processor, so we can take advantage of that and open that. We can might as well get the food situation going. Make our first steak. And how are we doing with the guns? So where's the advanced constructor? Yeah. And of course we're going to need some ammunition. Cannons is 30mm bullets. We don't have that as well. So anyway, what I'm going to do is just mount this up. I mean, I'm going to sort all this, lot of this out off camera, guys. So, and actually, let's demonstrate how the way to do it is to get rid of that, because of course I don't want to be on the ground, even though I've killed the local friendly raptor off. Actually, we're running out of food as well. Okay. Let's go and get something to eat, I think. Yeah, we don't want to die of starvation. That would be stupidity in itself. Actually, did I? I think I cleared the fridge out in this ship. Just check. Yep. So we're just going to come over here. I think we should have something to eat in here. Yeah, got ham. That would do nicely. And I suppose what we can do while we're over here, guys, is we should have the resources in here. I've got no nitrocellulose. Okay, I'm gonna have to go and chop down. Wow, that's gonna be a problem, guys. Oh no, I've taken the copper out. So if we take that with us, and magnesium, stone dust. Take the magnesium. Actually, we'll just take some of this with us. We might as well save the effort and the run. We've had something to eat. We're just going to come here. And again, we're just going to, before we do it, just drop this stuff into the advanced constructor. And we should now be able to make some craft that. We'll start with maybe 20, 30 ammunition, and what do we need here? 30mm rounds. What have we got here? 15. Must admit, I'm still getting used to the new icons, and I think we're knock out some more of that ammunition. And I'm just going to go all the way to the top, out the top. Oops. Obviously we haven't got the rockets. We're going to have to make the rockets for this actual rocket launcher. Now again, something you need to be aware of, that certain weapons on capital vessels only fire in space. So, and I'm pretty sure that's what applies to this rocket launcher. I can't see the stats like this. Yeah, so, and what I want to do is mount these normal cannons on the side like this. So we're just going to, and that's just going to give us a little bit of forward punch should we run into anything that's actually going to give us any problems. I mean, I could mount them back here, but I think here is probably the better one, because we got the sentry guns up here. I mean, eventually I will probably put a couple more, another cannon up here to support the sentry guns. But I think a couple of side mounted cannons here will be useful should we actually run into any problems while we're actually exploring the planet. If we're, you know, if there's any, say like we're exploring a planet and then we run into some drones, a couple of forward facing cannons should be able to deal with them. Anyway, so we got that now, guys. Oops. Again, sometimes it takes a little bit of practice to get a feel for this area here. And of course what we're going to need to do is actually, well, we've got a little bit of ammunition. I don't think, and of course, oh wow, this is all grown up pretty quick. This can't be ready for harvest already, is it? Okay, I'm liking this. Or is this just an indication that the video's gone on way too long? Probably. So maybe I should pick this and then I will call it for the video, guys. But this is the advantage of actually having a growing area. And I must admit, I actually quite like the idea of having a growing area within a capital vessel rather than having it on a base, because it means that if you're out and about, say like if you're exploring planets, you've got the ability of taking that resource with you wherever you want to go, and that is going to be really, really useful. And of course it means that we've now got lots and lots of corn. So let's just get into here. I think we'll store this, open the fridges up, and I think what we're going to do is name fridge 1, or this one, for food. and this can go in here, and then we're going to have fridge 2, or call it materials. Oops. And the other one, I think this one we will call materials, and this is the one where we'll store the corn in. And I think this is definitely where I'm going to wind the video up, guys. I think I've probably bored you all to tears. Now, I will do a lot of the routine work and transfer of the resources from my base, various lockers and that, into the capital vessel. In the next part, I'm not sure what we're going to do. Maybe we'll just go out and do our first venture out into space using the capital vessel to support the small vessels. Maybe we're going to use it to go and explore the moon or something like that. Anyway, this is where I'm going to leave it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting. And until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.